All right, man. Sitting down with my good friend Robert Robertson, man. It's good to finally be here, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it is. It's good to be here with you, man.
Yeah,
So,
so I'm pumped, dude. Why I love you so much, bro, is like you're probably one of the few people that I've actually seen come in to like my life, right, as a friend, and I've seen just exponential amounts of growth. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not even the same person that I met. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Obviously, you're the same dude, but it's cool to have that relationship because, dude, the growth that I've seen you achieve and come is been awesome to be a part of, man. So I really commend that, and it's awesome to see that.
thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is like not a whole lot of people have been able to see it at all. I'm definitely, like you said, I mean, the same dude, but I mean, completely different guy, completely different person, completely different mindset, and that came with not being around a whole lot of people along the way. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's nice, like, I mean, not that it even deserves recognition, but that you got to see the journey as well. Because a lot of people haven't seen this growth.
yeah, and a lot of people I would say too are also in denial, right? They'll always say like, "Oh, I always knew Rob was a good kid. I
Yeah,
always knew Rob was going to be successful, right? I always knew Rob was going to do good things." But in reality, they're in denial because they've also talked shit, you know what I'm saying, in their life, or really not been supportive in a way.
yeah,
They may not mean it or realize it, but they haven't been that person that's like, oh, Rob, we're so proud of you. They haven't been that person that's always got your back, you
oh
know?
yeah, 100%. So I mean, it's like I mean, people are always going to say, you say it all the time. They're gonna only thing they can tell you is congratulations.
Yep.
So, um, and I mean, I have a long ways to go to get to where I want to be and to become who I want to become. But I already hear a lot of that, of the, oh, well, we knew you'd do a good job. But 2 years ago, it was definitely not what I was hearing at all from a lot of people, a lot of my closest people as well.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why I'm sitting down, bro. I want to go through the whole journey, dude. You're a young cat, right? But you've experienced life, you've gone through things, you've developed and grown. Like I said, man, I mean, I've known you for 3 going on 4 years, right? The growth that I've seen has been exponential, right? So I want to go through your whole life, dude. I want to talk about first, start back to your upbringing, right?
Okay.
Where you're from, what your upbringing was like. Did you grow up in, what your household was like, tragedies, life experiences, things that you went through as a kid, or did you have a normal childhood? So I kind of wanted to start at the very basics, man, of your upbringing, kind of where you're from and your experience as a child.
Okay. Well, I was born in Roosevelt, Utah, a small town, about 9,000 people, population of Roosevelt, and I grew up with a lot of siblings. So I had two parents always in the household, my mom and dad, great, but I also had 10 siblings in the home as well. So I was the youngest biologically, and then out of the adopted siblings, there's only two siblings that were younger than me. So I was always one of the youngest. And before my younger two siblings ended up coming into my life, and blessed me, I was alone for quite a bit the first few years of my childhood, and I didn't realize it until I kind of looked back. Um, but I was alone quite a bit. My dad worked all the time. My dad's a doctor. My mom was a stay-at-home mom because I mean she had to be. There's so many kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as I can remember until I was about 4 or 5, I was always doing stuff alone, all the time. I'd be downstairs or upstairs, and I'd be playing my own board games. I'd be playing stuff on the old Apple computers. But what I did a lot too as a kid, which wasn't common, was I read a lot. I was very interested and I was very curious kid. So I feel like I've always just had this innate desire to learn and to grow and to study. Um, and I've gone through a ton of different phases with that. Biggest thing was dinosaurs. I had a fat book about dinosaurs growing up, and then eventually it turned into to learn about rocks and a bunch of other things. And then I would say everything kind of not changed, but eventually my family we all moved to Virginia when I was about 10 years old. So we moved to Virginia. that was a big culture change for me, big shock, because in Roosevelt it was a small town, and majority of everybody is LDS. They're
Yeah.
of Mormon belief, and so I grew up Mormon, grew up LDS, moved to Virginia, and I was still practicing that same faith, and there was nobody else. Like there was one other kid in my high school that was also Mormon, and that also, even though I had a lot of friends, I had a great support group of of people. It still was very lonely.
Yeah.
Still, I feel like I've always just kind of gone through this path of loneliness.
Yep.
I'd say through my life. So that was lonely, just in the sense that even though I had people that were there, but nobody like got me. Nobody understood me fully, and there's not a whole lot of people that will know you for you. And I've begun to realize that as I've
Yeah.
gotten older, and that's really not important. But I think it really definitely developed me as a person on my journey. But I mean, I grew up from 10 till 18 in Virginia. I got my first job on a farm. Wasn't what I was expecting at all. I didn't grow up very country. I mean, I was always outdoors, camping, hiking, fishing, but I definitely was not the rural type, especially in the community that I lived in.
Yeah.
I was definitely city to everybody else. But I got my first job on a farm, and that was very manual labor, which
Yeah.
I think developed very early on a strong work ethic in myself. I mean, I had to plant, maintain, and pick crops, acres worth of crops. When I was 16, did that till I was 18, and then I had to pay for college all completely on my own. So I realized that I had to get a higher paying job. So I started driving forklift at 18 years old at a Target warehouse doing night shifts. So again, just this period of
Yeah.
loneliness, being alone. But I was able to stack up a lot of money for the age that I was. I was 18 years old, living on my own. Was able to save up $10,000 to be able to go to college to support myself. And this is where I think I had the most crucial life-changing point in my life. So I was always very religious growing up. I was engaged. I had an ex-fiance, and I was supposed to go on a mission as well. So, as you know, as you served a mission is 2 years long. Teaching about the gospel. I didn't end up going on that. So there was a lot of loneliness that came to that period within my community, my family members, people that I knew, because I didn't go and fulfill that mission. Broke up with my fiance. I moved across the country to go to college. So there was just this major shift in what my life was. It brought in a whole lot of loneliness. Biggest changing point in my life for sure. Got into drinking. I'd never drank before. And just trying to figure out mainly who I was. And that came with a lot of trial and error to figure out who I was and what I was supposed to do. And not that I've even still figured that out, but I have a lot deeper meaning of my why.
Yep.
And luckily I was able to meet you through friends at college. So there was a lot of great things that came out of this big change at college. Even though I was never able to finish, I got put on academic probation, which I also thought was going to be another life-changing big switch. But I had my mutual friends that knew you that brought me into the door-to-door industry.
Yeah.
With you. So that's kind of the quickest and lightest
Yeah.
version of my upbringing and my childhood.
Yeah. So, I mean, dude, you grew up in a huge ass family, right? Dude, 11 siblings, is that what it was? 11 kids total?
Yeah.
And, obviously I'm adopted too, right? And so you have, how many of kids in your family are adopted?
There's 4.
So 4 are adopted, and then 7 are biological from your parents.
So there's I have 4 adopted siblings, 4 biological siblings, and then 3 siblings that we took in and raised. And I'll always consider them my siblings, but we're never able to legally adopt them. So, I mean, I guess you could say I have 7 adopted siblings and 4 biological siblings.
Yeah. So I'm going with that, dude, is there's just a ton of diversity in there, huh? So, dude, yeah, you're growing up and you're one of the youngest. and I'm the youngest, but it's only my brother and I, right? And dude, you grow up and you have a huge family, dude. It's like you don't really get that attention that you really need from a parent, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like as a kid, dude, a kid needs a lot of attention. And so obviously, dude, at least you were, using that time to read books, to study. You don't mind playing by yourself as a kid, right? At least, I mean, growing up, it sounds like you really didn't get into a whole lot of trouble, right? You kind of kept yourself an overall pretty good kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part.
I mean, which is good. We always do kid things, but that's important, man, because I feel like a lot of kids will not have the sport. They get into a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Which trouble with the law, trouble with certain things, and they go and make bad decisions, man. But what do you think growing up, man? You know, contributed you to graduating, doing well in school, working hard, saving up your money. What do you think instilled that into you to be able to say, hey man, I know I was kind of neglected as a kid, but I'm still gonna work hard. I'm still gonna develop. I'm still gonna get a job and make good money. What kind of led to that?
I mean, I think I'd have to credit a lot of that to my dad. Even though me and him weren't as close as I would have loved, and I think as he would like. I mean, we still aren't because I live on the other side of the country right now.
Yep.
But my dad, he he's a man of very strong moral fiber.
Yep.
And he instilled a lot of great characteristics in me as a man, as just as a human being, in general. And I think that was instilled in him by his father. I actually just recently came across a letter that was written to all of my aunts and uncles, to my parents from my granddad 50 years ago when he was overseas in the military. And half the letter was just talking about how the greatest thing that he could wish for his kids was that they all became the highest caliber men and women, that you own up to your mistakes. And two big lines were that you never take advantage, you never take from the poor, and you never exploit the weak. Just a few, golden nuggets, but I can see exactly where it came from in the way that my dad raised me, and
Yeah.
I know that he wanted to still instill the exact same things in us.
Yeah.
And so with that guidance, it was hard to ignore. I feel like, and just kind of living up to that standard because my dad, he's a great guy. He was always in serving positions in our local church, in our community. He's a doctor. So I feel like there was a lot to live up to in that sense as well.
Yeah.
But also, I think it too was just to stand out. One thing that always stood out about me was that I was always reading, so I was always smart. I knew a lot of things. My siblings told me growing up that I would just follow them around the house, just telling them random facts.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to always live up to that standard as well. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm smart. I'm supposed to be getting good grades. I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
excelling at this. And then as I got into sports, it was the exact same thing. I played a lot of sports growing up in high school. Still active right now, but I'm not nearly as athletic or playing those sports, right? But I quickly came to realize that everything that I was doing, I wanted to excel in and to
Yeah.
thrive in. And that definitely, I think, even without all the time and attention that a kid needs, I still had all the right key components that I needed to instill myself on the right path to excel
Yeah.
and do what I needed to do. And that's brought me a long way.
Yeah, no, that's important, man, because like, dude, growing up, dude, a child needs a role model. You know what I'm saying? It needs someone to look up to. Your dad. Obviously, no parents are perfect. We understand that now. Um, but understanding, your dad's a doctor. Like that's a huge accomplishment as it is, right?
Yeah.
Anyone that has the patience and to go through school, to work their ass off, and go through that's a lot, and it's definitely respectable, right?
Mhm.
Who would you say that your hero or your biggest role model would be when you were a kid growing up, right? Who was your biggest hero?
Oh, it's a good question. My biggest hero, probably when I was a young kid. It was I don't know, probably my oldest brother. Um, my oldest brother Josh, and he's just an awesome guy. But because he was my oldest brother and he I just looked up to him a lot the whole time. He was my hero, and he was like 16 years old working at a golf course. It's not like he was, some Muhammad Ali of any sort, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like I want to be like him.
Yeah.
I asked him to be the one to baptize me as well. So my oldest brother was the one that baptized me, and I looked up to him a lot, man. He was my hero. He'd always listen to the facts that I wanted to tell everybody as a little kid.
Yeah.
Um, and he would sit down and he'd watch the shows that I wanted to watch as a kid. One of my favorite shows was Avatar: The Last Airbender, an animation cartoon.
Yeah.
And him being 10 and a half years older than me, he'd sit down and he'd watch them with me and spent that time with me, which meant a lot to me as a little kid and with so many siblings in the house, just to kind of have that one-on-one experience with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't get a lot because, he was so much older than me that by the time I was 8 years old, he left or 9 years old, he left to go on, same thing, a mission.
Yeah.
And then when he came back, he went to college and, began his path of life. So I didn't get a whole lot of that, but, I definitely looked up to him a lot, and I still do.
Yeah.
He's got a great family, his wife and kids. He lives in Southern California, and he just surfs, and I think out of all people, he's the one that emulates the most that one of my favorite sayings, which is, life doesn't come at you, but life comes from you. He lives life to the fullest. He's always a happy guy. So he's definitely probably my hero as a kid for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So, we kind of go throughout your life, always kind of feeling like left out, right? Being the youngest guy. And I can attribute, man, just of actions that I've done, always trying to be the best at what you do, get that, get that recognition from people, make people
Yeah.
proud, right? Now, you have a moment in your life, right, when you have all these expectations of you to go on a mission and live your life a certain way, right? And you decide to take a different path,
Yeah.
right? And you'd decide to live the life that you choose, right? So let's talk about what that caused for you, right? To say, hey, I'm gonna go completely opposite, right? And do what I want to do and live the life I want to do, rather than trying to live the life that somebody else wants us to do. What kind of stemmed from your life? What kind of went on, and things that really happened to you that were tough and a struggle? Because obviously it's not easy to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a huge change in my life direction, my life path, and I really struggled for a while because I didn't know who I was once I was kind of faced with this life change. I didn't know who I was. Who was Robert Robertson? Because my whole life I grew up a certain faith, and I believed in certain things, and that's just how it was, and I believed it, full heartedly. And then I just had this life change that maybe this isn't, not that it's wrong in any sense, right? I think that if I would have gone, another path, I think I still would have been happy. I think you can make happiness from all
Yeah,
areas of
absolutely.
life. Um, but I had to come to a point to realize where, like, who am I, and what am I living for? And unfortunately, that was a journey that I ended up taking later on. And some people never take that journey, I think, a lot in their life. I think they just kind of live their life because that's just the way that their life is.
Yeah.
And they don't ever think too much more beyond that and who they are and their purpose. So yeah, I ended up deciding that I wasn't going to go back out on my mission because I got sent home for breaking some rules. And everybody kept telling me, "Oh, you could just, come back, do this, and get right back out there." And I thought the same thing. But I came home and I was just like, well, who am I doing this for, and why? So I just had there was never an epiphany or a big switch, but it just all started with, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what feels right. So I went to college. I ended up joining a fraternity, and some of those guys are going to be my lifelong friends in that fraternity. And I started drinking, which I never got to do before, and it started off very unhealthy at first.
Yeah.
Because I was in a dark place. And now, I just enjoy the lifestyle that I have. I like to drink. I like to have a cigar. I like to hang out. But it definitely came with a lot of confusion along the way for a couple years. So I mean, going through college, it was interesting because it was the same thing. I was going to school out of state. Felt like a lot of people still didn't get me. Trying to figure all this out. I split ways with my ex fiance. So at one time, I kind of lost everything. Lost my faith, lost my identity, lost my significant other. Um, and so to find who I was, I kind of just had to. I don't know. And I'm still not even sure if I know completely who I am, but I think I have a way better idea of who I am, and I think that just stems from the free agency of doing what feels right and making sure that I'm living life to the fullest at all points. And that comes with, and that doesn't mean to go out and party and booze and do whatever you want. It just comes with the fact that I'm going to make decisions, and if those decisions are wrong, I'm going to own up those mistakes and do with them what I see fit.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Now, so a lot of times when people tend to stray away from their upbringing or their family, they go to opposite ends, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
you never drank, you owned a fraternity, and I know fraternities are crazy, right? I've never been in one, but I can just imagine, right? You went in, you boozed, you had a good time, you partied, you lived life the opposite, right? And still found out, man, like, what am I doing here? Like,
Yeah.
dude, what's my calling in life?
Yeah, definitely spiraled that wrong direction. Because yeah, like you said, I did start off just boozing and partying all the time. And when you first met me, that's just what I was doing. All I was wanting to do was drink and party and have fun and play video games.
Yeah, bro.
And you were one of those people that definitely helped me out with that. But again, that had to come from a journey on my own to realize, what is it that I am doing? Am I really doing this because I want to practice my own free agency and show people that I'm going to do what I want to do? Or am I doing this because this is really what's a good life? And quickly I realized, this isn't a good life. Like, I've got no money. I'm always hungover. And even though I have close friends, but, from just a short glance, for majority of people that I meet, I realize I'm not putting off a whole lot for there to be a great reputation of who I am.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of depth and character to who I was, even though I know that there is. But to other people, they can't see that. So I realized that's going to have to come with a lot of life changes. And also, I didn't want to be stuck in that for the rest of my life, just partying and drinking and doing whatever. So I got back down to my roots. I knew how to work hard. I knew that I was always smart. And I knew that a lot of people looked up to me and that I looked up to a lot of other people. So I just put my head down and I realized I had to make some life changes. So, I still love to have a good time. I love to have a drink, but
Yeah.
I definitely have put that aspect of my life behind me. And I talk with one of my other fraternity buddies all the time about how we both moved out of college. We both had dropped out. We talk about how they're still doing those same things, and we still love them. I mean, they're our friends, but just kind of like this lifestyle that they're kind of always stuck in, and how we're able to get out of that and see life from a brand new perspective even after that.
Yeah. And dude, this is exciting because like from this point in your life is where I met you, right? I met you in a frat, coming out with your college boys. Two of your friends recruited you to come sell pest control with me, right? Down in Dallas, Texas. Dude, I met you. You're like, yo, got the earrings in. The cool frat dude. You're like, yeah, bro. I want to come and make some money. And I'm like, all right, dude. And I remember seeing you. I was like, bro, this kid has a lot of potential, right? Good looking dude. Talks well and has that confidence and stuff in him. And so you came out your first summer, and obviously, dude, you had that first summer where, dude, you sold an okay amount, right? In the first year, yeah. But you really got to learn. So I wanna talk about your first summer working with me, and kind of stuff that happened to you that during that summer. Obviously you learned a shit ton, during that first summer.
Yeah, I learned a lot, man. I loved that summer, that first summer out in Dallas. Even though I didn't do a whole lot, goals wise, accounts wise, but I did learn a whole lot. and I got to meet a lot of great people, and I think it put me in all the right places as well.
Yeah.
But I kind of missed a lot of that structure, because with the door-to-door industry, it brings a lot to be successful in it, right? It brings a lot of determination, it brings a lot of grit, and it requires a lot of discipline, which I lacked a lot of that, because I grew up in the Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was always in organizations in school. I was in a fraternity. So coming to this door-to-door life, it was very like, it felt like home. There was structure. It was discipline. Everybody wanted to be greater than who they were. Even though I still wasn't breaking out of all my habits, I still was trying to sneak away from work and play video games. Still was drinking, multiple days a week. But I was able to learn a lot and kind of see a difference between me and my friends at the time as well.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of times where, because I went out there and I thought I was going to do okay, but my friends were going to do better than me, and I ended up outselling both of those friends that recruited me, that I came down with. And it was great working under you, man. Like, just being able to see you, selling 600 accounts, that summer, just knocking your balls off, man, going crazy, and just realizing like, whoa, this guy's insane at what he does. And also that it's not like you're not human. Like, a lot of other people can do this, and the biggest thing is that people just choose to not. And it's exactly what I was doing. I was choosing, short-term pleasure over long-term pleasure. I was choosing to still go back home and drink and play video games.
Yep.
But I was able to learn a lot. And then especially it was that summer coming home after that I learned the most. That the money wasn't right still. I wasn't drinking or partying as much. And I realized that there needed to be more of a change in what I was doing. So I was working for a moving company, loved it. I ranked up very quickly in that company. He saw a lot in me as well. And I worked there for 6 months and had gotten 2 raises and was made the general manager of the warehouse. I was leading shift jobs. I was doing the scheduling, and for guys that worked there longer than me. But yeah, then I got the call from you that, hey, we're running this. We're starting our own thing, and we're doing it down here in Florida. We need you here. So I got that call, and it was not even the wake up call, but I knew it was like, it's time to get started. Like, this is day one, not the. Because people all the time, they say, well, I'll do this one day. I'll figure out my life one day. I'll stop drinking like crazy one day. I'll stop partying one day. Well, our good friend John always says tomorrow never happens.
Yep.
And I don't think I realized that's what I was doing at the time, but I realized, this begins now. This is day one, not one day. And so I put my head down and I came out here, man. And it's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah, dude. I love that, man, because obviously you've been here from the start of the company, right? And building it, and obviously you're a partner. You know what I'm saying? You have equity in this company, and you're a partner for a reason with John and I.
Yeah.
And it's through that growth, dude. And now it's exciting, right? Because now I want to talk about the real journey, right? Where you came out here. Because even when I called you and I was like, hey, we're running this, we need you, there was still some, I know I'll come, but I don't know when I'm going to come. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then I called you and I was like, dude, quit your freaking job and get your ass out here and let's run this. And I want to talk about from the moment you decided, all right, I'm going to quit, how long it took you to quit, when you got here. And I want to talk about your first real summer here, opening the business. And absolutely, you fucking killed it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, you're definitely right. I still was holding on to a little bit of other things, right? I don't know if it's the right timing. When I first got that call from you, I'm working this job. It's going great. I love working for the moving company. Maybe I'll get back into school. But then you were like, no, fuck that. We're starting this. Quit your job. Get over here. So I was like, okay, just give me a day. Just give me a day to think about it. I think it was a day, or I said, give me till Wednesday. Let me think about it. And I called you that day, and I said, all right. I told my boss I quit my job, and I'll be there Saturday. So,
yep.
All I needed from you was to buy my flight, because I had totaled my car right before this. I had ran into a cow on the street in the middle of the night, so I had no car. Quit my job, and I moved out here. You guys flew me out. I had nothing but my 2 suitcases, $0 in my checking and saving account, and I had 140 something bucks left on my credit card with only $1,000 credit limit. So
Yeah.
I had $140 left of borrowed money, and I landed in Tampa. I show up, and we're just starting this. You guys had already put in the groundwork for it, and I don't know if it was me being a bitch still at the time or just being I don't even know how to put it, but I showed up and it got real quick. It got real very fast. I was sleeping in the back of the warehouse, on an air mattress, and then there was a wooden shower that you guys had constructed for me that had cold water. So I slept on the air mattress in the product cage for our services. It was made out of chicken wire, and that was where I slept, man. That was ground zero for me. But it was base camp, man. It was great. It's my office, and I mean, just 2 or 3 days in, man. I think I don't remember this enough, and I should recall upon that memory a lot more. But I remember those first few nights in that warehouse, pitch black, sleeping on the air mattress, cold water, no money. I'm eating ramen noodles every single day, and I was like, what am I doing out here? Like, what did I do, man? What did I get myself into? But I knew that I was stuck, man, because I'm a man of my word, the way that my dad raised me. And so I gave you my word that I was going to come out here. So I was like, I guess this is just what I got to do. But what really changed my life, man, was this book that I read. It was You're a Badass at Making Money. And I think it really might have just been because it was the first self-help book that I had ever read before. And I think it also is just really powerful as well. But the chapter that stuck out to me and I think has really developed me into who I am and what I accomplish and what I've done was to cut off all your safety nets. My favorite lesson that I can ever teach any guys if I do a training is if you ever want plan A to work, there's no such thing as a plan B. Plan B can exist.
Yep.
Right? It's just like with a safety net. If you're going to make a jump, you need to jump across a ledge. If you're wearing a safety net, you're not going to jump nearly as hard as if you miss that ledge, it's going to cost you your life.
Yep.
If you have no safety nets whatsoever and you got to get across that ledge, you're going to make damn sure you get across that ledge. Uh-huh. So I made sure that I cut off all my safety nets. I told my family that I wasn't going to be coming home at all. I didn't really talk to anybody about this whole process that I was going through. But it all started with working on me, because before I could prove others wrong, you got to prove yourself right.
Yeah.
So I cut off all my safety nets. I was reading every single night. I was reading every single morning. I wrote on my whiteboard. I bought a small little whiteboard from Amazon. Yeah. And I would write a quote from the book that I read that day. I would write my affirmations down, and I'd write all my small goals that I wanted to hit that day. Yeah. Drink a gallon of water. Talk to this many people. And then I would underline, I have to sell this many accounts. No ifs, ands, or buts, or it would be nice to sell this many accounts. It's this amount of accounts or bust. Yeah. In fact, there is no but. Like ground zero, plan A, you're selling this many accounts. Yeah. And I changed my background for my lock screen and for my home screen on my phone to be the amount of revenue that I wanted to sell and generate for the company. And I listened to Zig Ziglar every single morning before we had our morning meetings. I took notes in the meetings. I pitched myself day in and day out. I'd pitch myself in the shower. Like, if I were to look back on myself back then, man, like, I would look crazy at what I was doing. But it went a long way. I mean, I only sold 60-something accounts out in Dallas. I was a bum. And within just a few months, with no real training in between whatsoever, the only thing that changed was my lifestyle and my mindset. I was able to go from 60 accounts to 225 accounts with a company that's just starting in a brand new market in a brand new state with no money, with no food, on an air mattress, and with basically the odds stacked against us, against me. I was able to go out and achieve success. I was able to hit the goals that I wanted to hit that year, and that first year was a crazy year.
Yeah, man, it was nuts, dude. I mean, just opening up, right? Me, you, Jay, a couple of us were selling, and we really were just just balls to the wall, right?
Yeah, I
And,
mean all the time, man.
and the thing about it, man, is I've always been able to sell, right? And I've
Yeah,
always sold a shit ton. But the transformation that I saw with you is, dude, one, we didn't give you the opportunity to slack off, right? We set those expectations for you to
yeah,
where you had a choice whether to succeed or fail, period. Because for lunch, we would pull up, we'd have the microwave with a battery, and sometimes the battery would die, and so you'd eat cold lunch, right? And dude, people would look at it and be like, oh, these guys are being assholes to Rob, right? But the standard that we set for you was so high that it gave you two options: succeed or fail.
yeah.
Like there's no getting by.
Rise up or break, man. Those
And,
are the two.
and that's it. And the reason I think we did that and why I'm so proud of you, dude, is is you chose to succeed, right? I told you what books to read, told you some things to do,
Yep.
some decisions, and then what you did is you took initiative. You took initiative, and you're like, okay, let me buy this thing, let me do this, let me cut off the shit, let me stop the social media, let me stop wasting my time, and let me become obsessed, right? And the obsession of learning, growing, and developing. And now we see people this year, right? You took it leaps and bounds, and we just finished our second year of sales, and you had a huge part of training and seeing these guys.
Yeah,
And it's funny to see you get pissed off because you see these guys and you're like, dude, you need to become obsessed. You need to work. You need to do what I did.
and then they don't, and then I'm upset.
They don't do it, right? But you took that initiative to actually do it, which for me, right? I sold over 750 accounts this year. You know, I've done a lot of huge numbers in sales, but people just don't get it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of work and the discipline and the way you got to get locked into where you want to go is you got to become obsessed. You know what I'm saying? You got to become so determined, so hungry, and so fucking driven that you're willing to go whatever it takes to get where you want to go. And dude, that's the way, dude, is because you had this successful year where, dude, you could pat on your back, you did well.
yeah.
But
Now it's gone.
but the story doesn't end because what did you do this year?
Yeah,
I want to talk about, dude, you learned, you grew, and you started killing it. Now this next year, now you're a partner. You've hit certain things. I'm like, okay, this is a guy that, you know, is dependable, trustworthy, does what the fuck he says he's gonna do, and performs, right? Because all that life's about is performance. Now I want to talk about this second year and the numbers you were able to do, and the leaps and bounds you made from year one to year two to now finishing year three. I want to talk about that.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it was a huge year. I mean, a lot of growth with that first year here at Tier 1 with our first year open. I mean, came out the gate swinging, had a great year. But like you said, the only thing that matters is results. So with this third year, our second year here at Tier 1, you know, I couldn't do the same exact thing. You know, that wouldn't mean anything. So I had to go even further. And then now being a partner, I had way more responsibilities tacked all on top of that as well. So I had to be able to run trainings. I had to be able to bring all these guys up with me. I had to talk with them one-on-one. I had to draw up areas. I had to, and then still at the same time, do exactly what I did last year, plus way more.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, it's a journey all on its own. Like you said, the journey doesn't end. And I'm not sure if I'll ever get to a point in my life where it will. And it stresses me out quite a bit, to be honest with you. A lot of time in my brain, man. I've always been a deep thinker, always just been pondering, and I zone out a lot, I think. I've heard it from my mom growing up. I've heard it from my girlfriend all the time. I just zone out because I have a lot going on, man. It comes with that desire to want to win. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is results. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter what you did in the past. It doesn't matter that you say you're going to have a great season or that you say you're going to sell this many accounts. There's just one thing. Did you actually end up doing it or did you not?
Yep.
So I knew that if I was going to sell more, I couldn't do the same thing. And that came with a lot of isolation again as well. So again, there's just this continued path of loneliness. And I still isolate myself a lot because the number one thing to be able to hit these numbers is all mindset. Obviously, it comes from skill, and I think I have a little bit of natural skill, but it came with a lot of hard work and a lot of, being in tune with who I am and what I want to accomplish. And so I get shit for it all the time, especially from the sales guys and everything like that. They don't see me, they don't hear from me, but I have to do that for my own peace of mind, for my own success. I have to isolate myself. Um, and it's not that I'm antisocial or social anxiety or that if I did these things I can't perform. I just know that to achieve what I want to achieve at the highest level, I have to isolate myself from these things.
Yeah.
So I just locked in a lot. I didn't do anything. I didn't go out to the bars even to celebrate when I had a big week, which I did that first year at Tier 1. If I had a really big week, I'd go out to the bars, I'd go to a club, I'd reward myself. And now I just always remind myself of Kobe, rest at the end, not in the middle.
Yep.
So I didn't go out and celebrate ever, for having a big week or a big goal. I needed to have a big year. I needed to have a big season. I could celebrate then. So I didn't go out to a bar a single time during the entire knocking season. I think it was until the 4th of July, right towards I think we had 2 weeks left of my knocking season. I went out for the 4th of July with my girlfriend. That was the first time I had, drinks out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it just, again, there's nothing real crazy, or it's just it's just doing what everybody else isn't willing to do. That is the biggest thing, man, is a lot of people think that you do this crazy stuff. And a lot of people are still going to call you crazy for doing all this. But really all you're doing is doing everything that other people won't do. Everybody has the ability to do what I've done and has the ability to become who you are. Everybody chooses to not. They do all the things that they shouldn't do, and that's why they never change. That's why they never grow. And you have to become a man and realize what those things are. And when you are messing up, you got to own it and say, you know what, I am fucking up, or you know what, I am being a bitch right now.
Yep.
I gotta get back on the path. The journey's not over.
Yeah, dude, I love that, man. And just for people to hear and see, what did you sell your second season?
So my second season, I sold 200, or my second season at Tier 1?
No, second season total.
Second season, I did 225 accounts, did $192,000 in revenue.
Now your third year.
I did 293 accounts at a way higher ACV. I think I've done over $250,000 worth of revenue this year, while also leading the team, and it's also not over yet.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man, dude. It's incredible to see, dude, and to see a kid, a shithead kid, just being a kid, right? Having fun, doing shit, selling 60-something accounts, to then coming out and selling over 200 accounts, and then to selling damn near 300 accounts, but at a way higher contract while making these changes. Because people see, oh man, dude, I wanna sell 200 accounts, I want to sell 300 accounts.
I want to be a leader.
Yeah.
I want to run a team.
Yeah, but everyone wants to until the obligations come, right? Until the responsibilities fucking come.
Yeah.
Because like Jay always talks about, John, the crown is fucking heavy, right?
Yep.
And I love it seeing, because you're able to see, I've led sales teams for years now, right? You're able to see the shit that I went through. And I sat back sometimes and I just fucking laughed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Rob's seeing it now, right? The stuff where you're like, man, I want these people to succeed, but they're not willing to do what it takes to get there. They're not making those decisions. And it's okay, because what I've learned is you have to let people be on their own journey, and you can only lead them to water and help them out. But if they choose not to be helped or make those decisions, it's not on me. We tried it. We did our part.
Yeah.
But it's tough. You know what I'm saying?
And that's been a hard thing for me to learn, man, is realizing that I can't force people into doing what I did, right? Yeah. And not that I'm so different or special or that we're different. It's just that it came down to the point that I realized I wanted more, and that's that. I truly wanted it. And a lot of people will say that they do, but they really don't. And you can tell it all through their actions. You can't force somebody to want something. And that's the most frustrating part, is a lot of times, and you say it a lot too, is sometimes you want it more than they do, which is very frustrating to see, because you want them to succeed and hit their goals, and because you've seen how great of a person you've become and you want that for them, and they say they want it, but they don't.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. It's hard, but I've really had to. That's one thing I've had to learn is you got to let go, right? Because I take things very personal, and I get upset.
Yeah.
And I got to realize, okay, dude, if they don't want it, it's not a big deal. I did my part. But going on with that, man, um, one thing that I thought about your whole story is you found purpose, right? You found your purpose, and this is what I want to talk about, bro, because purpose is so important, right? If somebody sticks in the religious time and they want to practice their religion and do all that, that's fine. But that has to be their purpose, not their
Yeah.
parents' purpose, not their family's purpose, or going into business. Because what you did though is you went the aspect of let me go furthest away, let me drink, let me party, let me do all this stuff, but you still had no purpose. And through being here, through life changing, you found a purpose.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about like what purpose means to you when you found out your purpose, and how that drives you to succeed.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, it's a deep question with with purpose, right? And I'm a big believer too that if with a true purpose and stuff, it's very, very personal
Yep.
as well. So, I mean, I obviously won't go in the depths and everything of my purpose, and I'm still finding my purpose every single day.
Yeah.
With everything that I do, I'm still realizing who it is that I am and who I want to become and who I'm supposed to be. But what really helped me find my purpose was, I mean, I think just remembering all of those core values that I had as a kid, right? That I lost, whether I was practicing a faith or whether I was boozing and drinking or doing whatever I want. I wasn't doing what my core values were, which was deeply ingrained into who I am, which was my purpose.
Yep.
To be a good man, to work hard, uh, and to be the best at everything that I do. And I realized that, yeah, sure, I'm saying that I'm doing what I want to do and I'm living the life I want to live. I'm still not achieving any of those things. I'm not
Yeah.
being the best. What am I being the best at? Being a bum. Um, and so
The best at chugging beer.
yeah, exactly. So I realized that my true purpose was really just become. My purpose is to become who it's always supposed to become.
Yeah.
Which I think, it might bother a lot of people. It's not very in depth, but my purpose is to be who I'm always meant to be, and that is an everyday battle, and that is a never-ending journey.
Dude, it takes action, bro, because bro, I fuck up every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I fuck up every single day. But the difference is I'm aware of it, and I'm like, okay, let me get better. Let me get better. Right? During sales season, bro, I always put on weight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I knock, I knock, I knock, I knock, I knock. I eat dinner at fucking 10 o'clock at night, go right to bed, wake up, and I do it again. Right? And so I always put on weight, man, from the stress. My diet's, I'm eating okay food, but I'm just not eating the right foods. I'm not eating at the right time. I can't go balls to the wall at the gym.
No.
But I realize, man, in the off season, my purpose still continues. It just alters a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, dude, my sales season, I crushed it. Now I need to stay, stay busy with my purpose. Let me get my body back in shape. Let me eat right. Let me do these things. And it's a never-ending process of always bettering yourself. And that's what people don't understand is you need to be able to better yourself all the time. Every aspect, work on things, choose things, whether it's weight, whether it's diet, whether it's communication, whether it's relationship, whether it's business. I mean, right now we're in the off season of sales, but we every day still talk about, okay, how do we better our business? What can we do better? And you plan for it. And it's a never-ending thing that you just don't stop working.
Never ending. Yeah, and I think that's I think that's what stresses me out the most, honestly. To be quite frank, is just how it's a never ending journey.
Yep.
And that's why I always try to remember that one of my favorite phrases is, life doesn't come at you, it comes from you. So I still have to be able to handle all this stress and process this stress and become who I'm supposed to be and be happy about it as well. Like I can't be a depressed prick all the time because of how everything's going.
Yep.
But I mean, that's been one of the biggest challenges for me as a partner, man, is that switch from, I made a switch from being a bum to a sales rep, and then from a sales rep to a great sales rep, to a good sales rep, and then now to a great sales rep. And now I'm also a partner.
Yeah.
So I get stressed out, being like, oh, I have to do all this for the business, this, that, and the other. I don't have this time. I got to be able to focus on selling the amount of accounts I need to for next year. Well, that's going to be coming in part of bettering myself, because I'm not just a sales rep anymore. That's for a great sales rep to do, is to focus on how he's going to hit those accounts next year. I now have to focus on how I'm going to hit those accounts next year and grow this damn company and work on it every single day.
Yep.
And that's been probably the most stressful thing to myself. But it's all, like you said, it's all in that growth. It's going to change every single year. And those duties and obligations are going to grow.
Yep.
Even more such next year.
Yeah. And probably, I always quote Jay. Jay's our other partner. We always have quotes, man. Pressure's a fucking privilege. You know what I'm saying? And I've really thought a lot about this the past couple of weeks. You need to put pressure on yourself, right? Because putting pressure on yourself like that allows you to really buckle down and grow.
Yeah.
Right? Like pressuring yourself, like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. Shit, okay. Then the pressure hits me, right? Dude, I'm doing a lot of different things that I'm putting pressure on myself. And dude, I'm stressed out a lot, right? I'm always trying to go, and I'm like, dude, it's never ending. But I don't want it to be never ending. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I said, finding that purpose, dude, is to be the best. It's an ongoing thing, period. And so doing that, putting that pressure on yourself, and always striving to be the best person you can is what's going to make you fucking great.
Yeah.
You can't just think, man, I'm going to be great at something, and you're just going to walk right into it.
Yeah.
It's like David Goggins talks about. He's like, dude, how do you expect to be good at reading when you've never fucking read? You're an idiot. And just that simple line, I'm like, makes sense. How can you be good at sales if you've never put in the time?
Yeah.
How can, dude, I see a lot of these young kids come out and they're like, dude, they all write on the board, I want to sell 200, 300, 2 or 300. And I'm like, good luck. And dude, I've sold
See
over
you in 20 weeks.
Yeah, I've seen you. I've sold over 750 accounts, dude. I've seen guys, and I've done this a long time, right? But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, you're kind of disrespecting the people who are going to hit those numbers because they know what it fucking takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? They put in the fucking time, which is why when people come in and tell me that they're going to outsell me, I laugh and say, good fucking luck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I say, good fucking luck. And it pisses me off because it's kind of a disrespect, like, motherfucker, I put in some time.
Yeah.
I've put in some long time. And on and off the doors and life experiences, which, dude, I hope everyone does well. But also, put some damn respect on my name, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to waltz in here and act like you're some hot shot when you haven't put in your fucking time.
No, not one. And it brings me back to, in Tim Grover's book, Winning, he talks about how when you ask people, what is winning? If you could describe winning in one word, and there's two different ends of the spectrum. A lot of people are like victory, success, all these happy feelings that a lot of these new people are thinking when they walk in and say, I want to sell that many accounts. They're thinking about how it would feel at the end, to sell that many. It's going to feel great. They're going to be the king. Everyone's going to look up to them. Victory, success. While me, when I write those goals on the board, I'm thinking about long days, long nights, endless work, endless training, endless development, strain on my relationship, all of these dark and hard things that it's going to achieve, or that it's going to take to be able to achieve.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing then is those guys haven't experienced that yet, so they don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, dude, and I love that book, bro. Winning. He's like, winning will chew you up, spit you out, and laugh in your fucking face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, because you see it, man. When a lot of these kids come in to do it, how many of them quit? How many of them go home? How many of them don't do it? And that's what I look about success, bro, is people don't want it. People don't want to be successful. People want to win. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's fucking hard. It's stressful. It's depressing, right? People think, oh, dude, being a business owner must be awesome. I'm like, I mean, I've cried. I've been depressed. I've been lonely. I've cried. You know, I, I fucking am like sitting here. How am I going to make this fucking work? It ain't fucking sunshines and goddamn rainbows.
No.
But I will tell you what, it's fucking worth it.
Oh yeah.
And I love it. You know, and it's awesome, man. So, dude, I'm grateful we got to sit down and have this talk, dude. But one thing I always like to ask, dude, what would be if you could have if you were to die, you know, if you were to die today, and you had one final last piece of advice or something to give to somebody or the world, what would it be?
Oh man, there's so many. Because I'm a big quote guy. I love quotes. I love sayings, phrases, little bits and pieces of food for thought. But if I could leave, I mean, one thing. This is my last day on Earth. I mean, as simple as it is, I I think it's just get out of your comfort zone. I think that so many people, and even myself to this day, like I'll still be at home, even with everything that I've accomplished and everything I'm doing, I'll still be at home and in my mind being like, I'm being a bitch right now. Like I got to do more. And I'm constantly trying to break out of that comfort zone. And I don't think enough people do that. I think a lot of people just coast through life. They do what's comfortable and and I don't blame them. It's comfortable, right?
Yeah,
And
it's nice.
yeah, they're just coasting.
Yeah,
Life's good. Life's easy. I'm happy with what this is and what I have. And there's just so much more to your potential and what you can do if you just break out of your comfort zones, man. And obviously, it's going to be uncomfortable. That's why it's called a comfort zone for a reason. But yeah, if there is one thing I could leave with the world, it's you just have unlimited potential, and so break out of those comfort zones, man.
yeah. No, I love that, dude. I appreciate you sitting down with me, man, and I always cherish our relationship. And I'm excited to see what we do together, and on an individual, basic too, dude. So I appreciate you sitting down and being here, brother.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here. Seriously,
Yeah.
I've been waiting.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Oh.